Hey, what is up everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to a video. So yesterday I did that Franklin Booth video, and coincidentally there was a Bernie Wrightson auction of this Frankenstein cover. This is a two-page spread, and it sold for a lot. It sold for over $1 million, and I just figured, hey, Franklin Booth, we'll do some Bernie today, and just enjoy the art. There's no real agenda with it other than looking at some cool pen and ink art. And yeah, Bernie's great. These are great drawings. They're hand drawn. They're done in ink and with traditional tools, and they're awesome. So it said, it's interesting, dedicated to Roy Krinkle. Krinkle is such a hub of these artists. Frazetta, clearly Bernie, and yeah, Krinkle was really in that group. So it said in the forward, I actually kind of browsed it really quick before I started the video, that there were 45 plates done for Frankenstein. So I don't know if that means that there's 45 in this book. He definitely did some that weren't used, and there's also kind of a companion book to Frankenstein that has that stuff in it, and maybe some of the sketches and stuff. It's pretty cool. I don't actually own that. I have seen it in person, and at some point I'll pick it up. But yeah, it's out there. So we'll focus on these. I think a look back has some Frankenstein stuff in it, and then also the studio book has a little bit too. So between those four books, meaning both of the Frankensteins and those other two, you can cover a lot of ground. And yeah, so I can never remember what tool he used to ink these, so someone in the comment section can post it up, but it's some kind of a pen nib, I think, or a brush. I don't know. I've been told many times, and it just never sticks with me. I'm sure I even have some here, but yeah, I don't focus as much on tools as some people, so it's just one of those things that I just look at what the work looks like. Generally, the full drawings. The detail is obviously really kick-ass, but to me, like the compositions and stuff like that are just as amazing. And, they have like an impact. You just go like, oh my God, that is so cool looking. So, yeah, I mean, if you go and you look at the Franklin Booth video and then go into this one, I mean, you're really going to get a tour de force of just killer techniques. I don't know how long these pieces took Bernie. If I was going to speculate, I would say probably somewhere around 50 to 70 hours. Not all of them, but somewhere in that range. My black drawings generally would take like 30 hours, but I did have ones that took longer. I had two, in fact, that took like 200 hours. But those were big and kind of nuts. But yeah, so my guess would be, we'll say 30 to 70 hours. Like it just depends on the level of intricacies and really how many elements are on the piece. I mean, that really takes a while. And he did pretty tight pencils for these pieces, so he generally had it worked out quite well. I actually was nearly commissioned to do a Wrightson piece. It's a beautiful illustration. It's huge too. The thing is like 2 feet by 3 feet. I just didn't have the time to take it, but it's kind of half. It's probably 3/4 of the way penciled, and they wanted me to finish the pencils and then ink it. I may do it at some point, but it was even hard to really come up with like a number to do it, because it's like, dude, it just, it's like a month's worth of work. Yeah, these are so cool. So I got into Wrightson kind of right when I broke into comics. I would guess that I had not really been aware of his work before, but I was still playing in bands when I definitely knew Wrightson stuff, because I used his work on some stickers that I would give away for free at shows. And on a couple of flyers for shows, I had used some of his work. So it's kind of interesting to me, because even looking back, I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. I didn't kind of realize when I discovered him. But, most comic book stores will have like a section of kind of more fine art and illustration books, and I think I saw it in there and it caught my eye. This is so cool. It's really, really amazing techniques. Like, check out this face. And again, you want to look like if you notice on the side of this guy's body, he doesn't really have holding lines, meaning like there's not an exterior line, but then up on the shoulders, he did do it a little bit. You can see at the top plane, I'll kind of point it out. But like all around here, there's no like line that draws the outside of this, but the white, creates it. And then, but up here, he did do it a little bit. One of the examples I did in the Franklin Booth video, when I watched it back on a bigger monitor, I could see that like the rendering lines didn't go the exact way that I thought that they did, but through my phone, it was a little difficult to actually see what was going on. It kind of creates like a moire pattern, like sort of that weird sort of blurry kind of thing happens. And it's a little hard sometimes to see the directions of the lines. But yeah, most of this is hatching, I mean, it's like, you can see it here. I mean, I'll look at the book and see it. I mean, it looks to me like there's lines going this way and then straight up and down. And then on the edges, he's got them turned a little bit. But if you play with it, you'll figure out little patterns. These are going this way and this way. Oops, sorry, I'm off the screen. These are going like an X. Shoot, why is it so freaking dark? I don't know if you can see this, but these are going like this way and this way. So whatever creates the effect that you want. And these little dots are done just by like hatches that sort of close out and create the little dots. Again, just experiment with it. I posted links to some sort of fundamental inking videos that I had posted up, and those will really honestly help you. And then I did that whole Render Like Wrightson series. I honestly, if I did it again now, I could do it better. At the time, I wasn't really focused. Not as focused as I am now. So I'm always focused, but it's like there's levels of it. Like I'm like hyper focused right now. Built to destroy. So yeah, it's like when you work in comics, you can get pretty beat up. It's like it's a pretty demanding job. So my mental and physical health generally revolves around how beat up I am. But I like it. Like I kind of relish the sort of the brutality of it all. But I think that's why people can do stuff like this. I mean, it's like, if you ever see interviews with Wrightson, he actually seems like a pretty tough guy. Like, he's definitely a very strong-minded person. I definitely got that impression based on a couple of things that he said in one of the interviews. I was like, all right, this guy's a badass. He doesn't take any, he knows what's up. And I think you kind of have to be that way. It's like Frazetta. Frazetta is a really, really strong individual. And it makes for strong art. So there's just such a high level of endurance that you need and focus to be able to do stuff like this. It's just, this is incredible. This piece is so good. Oh my gosh. Those little effects on his chest are cool, just sort of like the stray lines, but, because they could be indications of scars, but regardless, you could see that stuff popping up in the Franklin Booth stuff. This is great too. Man, so kick-ass. Those are long lines. It is funny, because I remember when we did the other video, I was like, he has some tremendously long lines that like you kind of wonder, like, did he use like a French curve for that, or like what's going on? Very difficult to say. I wouldn't speculate on it, but I mean, the bottom line is that if a line is too long and you can't freehand it, then if you can find some sort of flexible curve or whatever it takes to get the line down, and as long as you need it, I mean, you're still doing it traditionally, so it's not like. It was funny, when I originally had first seen this book, I always thought these were like eggs of some sort. I don't know why. They kind of look like them, but this is nice. He has some pieces in this book that are a little more simplistic, but they're quite nice looking. I mean, this isn't a simple piece by any means, but and we mentioned this in some of the other Wrightson videos, but I do believe that IDW is moving ahead with a Wrightson Artist Edition book, and I have no idea how many pieces they got for it, but that is going to be so badass. I mean, that is just going to be the most incredible book. And I will be right in line with all of you to get it, because that will be the coolest thing ever. It will sit proudly on my bookshelf for many, many years. This is cool. It's a lot of black on this, actually, like solid black. There's a little bit of like rain, or just, like little kind of motion going through it, but overall, yeah, there's more solid black on this than some of the pieces. It looks great too, man. It's so nice. Oh, so fun. It's possible too. Well, I know for a fact that there's some of the black Frankenstein pieces that they can't locate. I've seen this piece in person at Comic Con. One of the auction houses had a few Wrightson pieces, and it was cool. This is one of my favorite pieces. Any of the other Wrightson videos where I've ever come across this piece, I always tell a couple of stories about this, but yeah, I love this piece. I think it's so cool looking, and to see it in person was just like, it was like seeing a movie star for me in a weird way. It was really, really exciting. Seeing some of the Frazetta pieces too was like that too, where it's like you can't believe that you're actually in front of it, and it's like, oh my god, like I never thought I'd meet you. It's so nice to meet you, and it's a piece of art behind a glass like counter, but it was like, oh my god, that's the board that he drew it on. Like that's the piece that you've seen in the book and you think looks so cool. It was really, really neat. I can't remember the other ones. Maybe if I see them, I'll remember. But I know for a fact I saw that one in person. I've seen, I think, 5 of these. It could be less, but I think it's 5. And I've seen maybe 10 or 15 Frazetta pieces. I've never gone to the Frazetta Museum, unfortunately. So, but I've seen a few Frazetta pieces. They, was during Comic Con. Robert Rodriguez had a Frazetta exhibit, I think at the Hard Rock Cafe. It like kind of was like a pop-up store that happened. I just couldn't get away to go check it out, which was kind of a bummer, but I think that they had 12 or 20 Frazetta paintings, like key paintings too there, but there was just no way. Comic-Con's way too hectic for me to be bailing to go to the Hard Rock during the show. But at some point, I'll try to get to one of those things and see them. It's really cool. Really, really beautiful effect with the water. So fun. And like I was saying, I recommend it for people. If you want to try pieces like this, I would just initially start with like little drawings, do a singular thing and see how it goes and kind of work up to it, then have 2 items, maybe a human and an object, and you know what I mean, work out from there. Because a lot of times if you try to start stuff like a full piece right out of the gate, it might kind of beat you up. But if you really want to go for it, do it. I mean, that would be more my personality. I'd be like, no, I'm doing a full piece. But I have to kind of remind myself that not everyone is wired exactly the same. So I was thinking about that yesterday for something else. Some of the advice that I give, I was like, you need to, like, I always try to make sure that I look at it from that person's point of view and not so much from my own. This is great. I love the button on his jacket. Wrightson's great too at like how he places the feet. I was noticing that yesterday I watched a look back video, and there was a Uncle Creepy piece that he did. It's a real famous piece of him sitting at the table sort of facing forward, but he turned his foot and ankle at such a cool angle. It was really, really neat. This is great. Man, this is so fun. I love this stuff. God, man, he was so great. The energy that the studio guys were creating when they were together. So this is 1977, man. It's just insane. It's so cool. This is one of my favorite pieces. I had this on my wall for a long time. And I'll show you, there was another one that I had hung up for a long time. I don't know if I have any Frazetta. I mean, Wrightson. I keep calling him Frazetta because I've got Frazetta on the brain a lot lately. And then I call Frazetta Wrightson. This is awesome too. God, look at that. So cool. Come on. Dude. It's beautiful. It really is. Man, it's so nice. We're only 15 minutes into this bad boy. We got another 15 to go. Let's do it. This is cool too. Yeah, so not, you know, when people look at this stuff, I mean, they're always very complimentary towards the inks, but Bernie really does draw great. That's the thing, is the drawings are what sell the inks. I mean, the inks sell the drawings too, but he really can draw like super good. So it just is like a perfect storm of the two, because he's got a great sense of aesthetics. I'm trying to see if there's stuff. So it's like his ideas are great, his execution is great, and you know, it's a really important balance to have. You know, if you lean too far one way or another, then it's like it'll still be really good, but it won't have that like, oh my god factor. He's great with knees. This is cool. I was surprised that it was only 45 pieces for this book. I mean, it sounds right when it's like said so clearly, but I mean, if I was going to guess, I always would kind of guess that there was around 70 to maybe 85 Frankenstein pieces, but I might be kind of thinking of the unused pieces and sort of pieces that didn't maybe get fully finished, like all as like one group. Maybe it was that many. Yeah, it's so like the little like fence post thing in the grass. Okay. It's crazy how many different artists we've covered on this channel. Oh, and by the way, too, I actually looked through my channel to see if I had another Franklin Booth video, and I could not find it. And I was in the Creator Studio where I can see everything that I've ever posted. Because there's about 800 videos all total, but 400 of them are for Patreon. There's no other Franklin Booth video, which I find very weird. So I don't know if YouTube pulled it down. I'm under the impression that YouTube doesn't pull down videos, but I have videos that are missing that I know for a fact there would literally be no reason why I would ever delete a Franklin Booth video, and I'm positive I recorded one before. So I don't know. I even went through each page and looked for it manually, you know, beyond the search to see if I could find it, and I didn't see it. So I don't know. At some point, I will start unlocking the Journey of 1,000 Miles videos again. It's just my channel was getting too weighted down. There was too many videos, and because there was such a variety of stuff, it wasn't doing me any favors. When people, you know, if you were looking for certain videos, it would be much more difficult to find them. So I had to streamline stuff. But that was the only reason that I hid them for a while. Or I don't even know if hid them would be the right word. They're just unlisted. But nothing's ever been deleted. Right. Oh, this is cool. This one has a little tiny bit of a Frazetta feel to me. Just a little bit. There's some Frazetta pieces that have a little bit of this vibe, but it's just fully Wrightson. Man, so cool. Oh, look at him up here. What are you doing up there, dude? But as great as this book is, and the reproductions in this book are nice, I think that they're good. That artist edition book is just going to be like absolutely insane. And I know Scott, who's putting it together. This was the other piece that I had hanging in my office forever. Scott will do everything in his power to make that the most beautiful, kick-ass book ever. It's going to be a real labor of love for him. And I'm just really looking forward to it. Hopefully they can find sketches, just anything that they can do to fill that book full of, 160 pages of just awesomeness will be great. So it's going to be just so cool. Oh yeah, these are good. This starts to get some serious business. See, now this is what I'm saying is because there's so many objects in this piece, that really, really starts to ramp up the time. Most of his pieces are detailed throughout, meaning that there's detail everywhere. But when you're drawing singular objects, there's a level of focus and sort of commitment that you have to the object and lighting it and stuff like that get a little more complicated than just sort of like, an effect like this on like a curtain. And as we saw with that Franklin Booth curtain, I mean, you can get really, really intricate and actually put beautiful folds and render it like this. I think Wrightson does it on another piece in here. But, yeah, stuff like this, there's just so many objects in it. It really just is like, it takes a lot of time. You agree, Kitty? My cat knows because she hangs out in here and sees all the hard work that art takes. That's so cool. These pages are so hard to turn. It's like the book is at an angle where just they never want to turn right. This is cool. Yeah, when I watched back that look back video, I said something in it, and it's like I stand by what I said, which is I would absolutely love to see a renaissance in comics where there was a group of artists, whether it's 4 guys that work in a studio together or it's just people spread out throughout the world that really, really commit to just taking the comic book art to the next level. And what I mean by that is it's not like a level that's never been discovered in comics, but what I mean is it's like you've got comic work, which is great, and there's a lot of different ways that people do it, and some people take a couple months to do a book, some people do them in a month, but I really, really have just fought in my mind and kind of fought on the front lines, at least for the ability to be able to do something like this in comics again, and it's not easy to do, and you have to sacrifice to do it. Not only time to learn how to do stuff like this, but it's like you're not going to have a lot of job opportunities, sadly. You would think that you would, but it's not that easy because it's like companies don't look at this and go, oh, yeah, it limits your options, basically is what I'm saying. And, but I think it can be done. I mean, Barry Windsor Smith is a good example of a guy that did actually do superhero comics that were, a little bit different. And Wrightson, too, Jeffrey Jones did some comic work. I mean, comic work is real time consuming, and I don't think that illustrative art always completely works with comics. I mean, I think that like pages of this stuff would probably be too dense at times, but I still wish that this was like you were seeing stuff like this, and we are to some extent. I mean, we have a global market or whatever you want to call it, a global stable of artists. So you've got people like Alberto Veranda and some people have mentioned some other artists. I'm going to check them out. If you know other artists though that are doing like kind of comic art and illustration art, let me know. But there was an artist that was mentioned yesterday, Steve something I think was his name, Fabian maybe. And I'll definitely check out his work because I don't think I've heard of him. If I see the art, I'll know if I've seen it for sure though. I have a good memory for that. This is great. But yeah. So it's fun, and it's there's room for all of it though. That's the thing. I'm not saying that like everyone would need to do this, but would be cool. I think Travis, when he got into the X-Men Wildcat stuff, it just got really exciting for a minute. And then you see it spill over and it gets sort of homogenized into the bigger pool where it's like people don't want to go that crazy, but it elevates sort of everyone's game. I mean, I know now people are gravitating towards a lot of the digital tools and using a lot of splatter brushes and, blurry sort of grays and the cross hatching brushes. But, I don't know if it's exactly the same. I'm not saying that those aren't valid effects because it can definitely do some cool stuff. But, $1 million. You want that art, the original art, those digital files. It's like you can sell prints, but that's so cool. Oh, what are we at? 26 minutes. I have a little time. Maybe what I'll do, I'll grab my my Wrightson Artifact Edition, and we can look at a few pieces in that really quick. It won't be Frankenstein art, but see what we can find. I'll look towards the back of the book. This is great. This is an interesting piece to do. I'd be curious of how he selected the pieces. If he read it and then decided on his own, or if like there was. I don't really know the what the situation was for this. Did he just decide to do this and then just did it kind of on the side of his regular work? Or was he actually getting paid to produce these pieces as he went along? Like, was he hired by a publisher to do these right out of the gate? I honestly don't know. If anyone knows, let me know, because that would be interesting. I'm assuming he selected the pieces that he would draw, but who knows? I honestly don't. This is the last one. Okay. So it's trippy. Is the like it's weird when I shoot the videos. Hold on, I'm gonna just pause this for 1 second. Let's see what. Okay, this is what I wanted to look at. I don't know if I missed this the first time through. I'm like I said, the pages might have got like stuck together and I didn't see it. But this is the piece that sold for from what I understand, $1.2 million. So, and this actually, it's funny because it's just coincidentally, but this is the render like Wrightson, the little section that I did. I just did it as a demo. So, you know what I mean? There wasn't any real sort of agenda to it other than I thought it would be kind of fun and interesting to sort of like, just give something like this a shot and see if we could get some of the effects. But again, I just wasn't really focused then. It's like I can go back and listen to my videos and I sort of remember my headspace at different times. And like I said, some are cringy for me. I'm like, you sound like a douchebag. Maybe this one too. It's all right though. You just have to own it. It's really cool. I remember doing this whole section. It was super nice. The way that he lights the bottles is great because he always will put these like little heavier areas. If you look at like the like here, he's got that like little bit of cast shadow there, and then like in here. Sorry, I'm gonna get it to focus. Yeah, these are beautiful little effects. We'll just stick on this piece for the end of the video because there's only like 2 or 3 minutes left that I can record, or I'd have to edit it. This stuff too. These little areas like this. But yeah, in the comment section below, anyone that knows the tool that he used or tools, like post it again if you don't mind. If you have any speculation on the ink that he might have used at that time, would be interesting to know that too, or even paper. You know what I mean? If anyone knows the sort of materials, it'd be fun to know. It's really cool right in there. Stuff is amazing. I mean, the fact that he was able to work out values that actually read clear and as clear as this is really, really incredible. I mean, it really is. Because that's not easy to do, to have that many objects overlapping and have it read so just, you see everything with the glass like sitting there and the little sort of absinthe looking bottle. It's really, really great. The wood grain is cool. This is great. And then the monster. So yeah, $1,200,000 for this. People were asking, did Guillermo del Toro buy it? Did Guillermo del Toro sell it? I don't know anything about that. So I don't have any idea. I was aware of the auction, and then I just, I didn't see the auction happen. I have watched Heritage auctions before when they did the big Frazetta one. I don't know if that was Heritage, but I actually watched the Frazetta auction, and it was cool. It's fun to watch. But yeah, they go through so much art. It's like exciting, but they're like, it's like stuff is selling for 1,000, 20,000, 40,000, 65,000. You've got these kind of more bigger pieces, but they actually do move through it pretty quick. I'd be curious how many bidders were like swinging on this though, because that's, in the original art sales, and that's really, it's like I always joke, you want two rich crazy guys that are just willing to like go to blows on a piece, and it's like, you're not taking it from me. It's like, you're not taking it from me. So, but yeah, I mean, this is amazing. It was interesting how yellowed the one board is, which makes me very, very curious of if all the pieces look that aged, because I mean, there's the Wrightson Frankenstein piece that I saw, that rainy one in person. I don't remember it being that yellowed. I actually have video or photos of it somewhere. I'll check, but I don't remember that being. I think they might be on my Facebook. But I don't remember that piece being so yellow. So I don't know if because this was a 2-page spread that he used different board. But yeah, that was weird. I was surprised to see that the paper had aged that much, because not all board does. I mean, there's sometimes paste ups and stuff will do that, but there's none of that on the piece. So it's interesting. And I don't know if they're on paper or thick board either. Like it could be, paper or board. I don't know. All right, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was fun to check out. And, I wish that I knew more about Bernie's techniques and stuff like that, but I really don't. I'm just a fan like all of you, and I think he's great. And it's just really, really a shame that we lost him, because I think he had a lot of good years left to draw. So, and definitely check out the newer Frankenstein book that he did a few years ago with Steve Niles. It's really cool. Okay, talk to you all later. Bye.